Welcome to Microfiche Microphone. I'm Micah, and on this channel we look at microfiche from the past, old newspaper articles in the public domain, and we look at them with our modern eyes, our modern perspective, and see what we can learn from them. On this microfiche time capsule, we are looking at Kansas Farmer from 14 December 1918, and this article is called Where Red Cross Dollars Go, End of War Reveals Picture of Misery, Such as the World Has Never Known. I'm choosing this article to wind down our foray into Kansas Farmer. Some of it was really fun, and some of it was really interesting, and some of it was really bigoted, and I'm just done. I'm done with Kansas Farmer. I am not a farmer anyway. I was just interested in Kansas because of the Spanish flu, which began there, and I'm ready to move on. So this will be our last article from Kansas Farmer, and I am ready to move on from World War I as well. So I thought we would kind of wrap it up with an end of the war article on the aftermath. And so this is specifically about the Red Cross and the work that they do. And I think this will be really interesting as far as what things to expect that the Red Cross did do for the world. So let's take a look. Where Red Cross Dollars Go, End of War Reveals Picture of Misery Such as the World Has Never Known. Well, that's kind of true. I mean, World War I was really rough. So this war, with all its barbarous atrocities, has uncovered a depravity of human nature that we would have believed no longer possible in a world we had fondly hoped was almost entirely civilized and Christian. But it has also given opportunity for the display of heroism and unselfish service for others on a scale never before dreamed of. The work of a single agency, the American Red Cross, at the battlefront in France, as shown by some items from an official report covering war work up to the 1st of March, gives some idea of what is being done. Almost $31 million donated by private individuals in America was used, with the following results. Okay, interesting. Established infirmaries and rest stations along all routes, followed by the American troops in France. Built canteens for use of French and American soldiers at the front, also at railroad junctions and in Paris. Supplied American troops with comfort kits and sent them Christmas gifts. Established a hospital distributing service that supplies 3,423 French military hospitals, and a surgical dressing service that supplies 2,000. This is amazing work. Provided an artificial limb factory and special plants for the manufacture of splints and nitrous oxide gas. Established a casualty service for gathering information in regard to the wounded and missing. Also very important. Opened a children's refugee hospital in the war zone and established a medical center and traveling dispensary to accommodate 1,200 children in the reconquered sections of France. 50,000 children throughout France are being cared for in some measure by the Red Cross. That's also extremely impressive. Planned extensive reclamation work in the invaded sections of France from which the enemy has been driven. This work now being carried out with the cooperation of the Society of Friends and an alumni unit from Smith College. The Society of Friends, isn't it the Quakers? Established a large central warehouse in Paris and numerous distribution warehouses at important points from the sea to the Swiss border for storing of hospital supplies, food, soldiers' comforts, tobacco, blankets, clothing, beds, and other articles of relief. Secured and operate 400 motor car vehicles for the distribution of supplies. Opened a hospital and convalescent home for the repatrié children at Evian. Also established an ambulance service for adult repatriés, I'm not familiar with that word, repatriés, who are now returning from points within German lines at the rate of 1,000 a day. Well, I know what repatriation is, and I know what an expat is. I guess repatriate, I guess it's like someone who is returning to their country. Yeah. Organized a nurses' service for American Army use. Established 20 dispensaries in the American Army zone to improve health conditions in that section before the coming of American troops. Excellent work. Very excellent work. And I feel like especially in wartime, that the Red Cross is extremely organized. It's one of the most organized organizations that there is, that really, really helps improve people's lives. So hats off to you. Relief work in Switzerland. $2 million of the $100 million American Red Cross War Fund have been used in Switzerland by January 1, 1919. Of the money already expended, $125,000 has been given to the Swiss Red Cross for its work with refugees, and $75,000 has been given to the Swiss government to aid in caring for interned Russians. Allied soldiers released from prison camps in Germany and Austria are sent through Switzerland to either France or Italy, and the American Red Cross is giving aid to these men, many crippled for life, others suffering from disease. In addition, many destitute civilians pass through Switzerland. These people, mostly from the captured regions of France and from Belgium, are not only given food, medicines, and clothing, but in some instances funds. Very nice. I think that's very, very nice that they have set up some system in Switzerland, mostly for the refugees, because there's no fighting in Switzerland. So if they are concerned about the fighting breaking out again, then that's a safe place for them to go. So I get that. And also interesting that the captured American soldiers went through Switzerland and coming back out again. I didn't know that, so that's really interesting. Red Cross in Near East. For relief work in European Russia, the Red Cross has spent $2,807,919. Of this, $531,000 was for milk for the babies of Petrograd, and $68,975 for 125 motor ambulances, $384,163 for medical and surgical supplies. $120,000 has been spent for the relief of refugees in Siberia and Switzerland, and for the destitute families of soldiers in Russia. For the relief of 25,000 railways employees at the northern terminus of the Murmansk Railroad, $179,000 was appropriated. For the relief of returning Russian prisoners, $1,511,233 was appropriated in July. In Siberia, $4,273,200 has been expended. The greater part of this was for warm winter clothing, for which there was a great need among the refugees and the Czechoslovak troops. In Romania, in the 6 months between September 1917 and March 1918, $2,676,369 was expended. For work in Siberia, $1,244,197 has been appropriated. For Greece, $375,000 has been appropriated. An aggregate of $3 million was contributed to the American Committee for Armenian and Syrian Relief for their work in Asia Minor and in Palestine. In the appropriations amount to $597,553. So I'm kind of skipping over the numbers. The exact numbers are not that important. The only thing I really was surprised with about this little part is that they specifically said the Near East. But most of this is in Europe. It's Eastern Europe, but it's still Europe. It's surprising to me. They specifically mentioned European Russia, talking about Siberia, Czechoslovakia, Romania, Greece. I don't consider any of them Near East. The only ones that I consider Near East are Armenia and Syria, and Palestine, I guess. I don't really think of the others as Near East, but hey, what do I know? American Red Cross in England. More than 300,000 American troops went to France during September. Half of these boys passed through England on the way. That is the record for 1 month only. Thousands and thousands of Americans have gone to France via England. Many have stopped there for extended periods to receive additional training in the arts of war. Many have been returned to England from the front to recuperate from their scars of battle. The American Red Cross follows American troops wherever they may go, where necessity warrants it goes before them. The presence of such large numbers of Americans called for relief work expenditures in England of $4,313,566 up to July 1st, 1918. This immense sum has been used in the building of 3 Red Cross hospitals, hospital in camp service, and ARC canteen work in the United Kingdom. Numerous donations amount to $2,169,675 to June 30th have been made to the British Red Cross, which organizations have given such valuable help to the American Red Cross in caring for Americans during their stay in England. A care committee of 600 American women residing in England visits and provides comfort for wounded American soldiers. An appropriation has also been set aside for a club and hospital for Army and Red Cross nurses. I feel like they weren't very specific about the things that they were doing in England. They said how much money they were spending, but they didn't really say what they were doing. They're like, look at all the things we're spending, but you didn't say what you were doing. Like, there were no specific, activities mentioned. I think that's a little strange. Old-fashioned neighborliness. The home service of the Red Cross is the nation's assurance that no enlisted man's family shall suffer for any essential thing that lies within its power to give, if that need is made known to the Red Cross. Its purpose is to make sure that the standards of living of the family shall not be lowered because the wage earner has been called to the colors. This service belongs to men in all branches of the service, to those in the Army, those in the Navy, to sailors, Marines, men of the Aviation Corps, engineers, and to the families of both men and women attached to hospital units as nurses, doctors, orderlies, or ambulance drivers. It is also extended to families living in this country of soldiers or sailors of any kind, of any of the Allied forces, and the families of civilians who have been wounded or killed as the direct result of war activities. I find that very interesting because I never thought of the Red Cross as kind of being in that kind of a position. That's more of a welfare position because at home the wage earner has left and gone to war, and so a lot of people didn't have their main wage earner at home, and so the work was left to the women or to the children. So the question was, how are they going to get by? And apparently you can apply to the Red Cross to get assistance. I did not know that the Red Cross did that. That's definitely new to me. The following extracts are taken from the diary of one home service worker, which has been established in pamphlet form by the Red Cross. I think my biggest lesson has been that home service means so much more than money help. Often the money is the least part, perhaps no part, for home service often means employment, or schooling, or fun, or instruction in housekeeping and cooking, or the doctoring of mind or soul or body, and it always means sympathy and friendship. I realize more and more every day that home service is one of the best friends the soldier and sailor's family has, and I'm proud to be part of the work. It's just old-fashioned fine American neighborliness brought up to date. It's our pledge to the boys over there that we are on guard over here and that all is well. Wow, really? They said that sometimes they don't even help financially. That a lot of times it's not even part of what they're doing. What do they mean by employment? It means employment or schooling or fun or instruction in housekeeping. Employment, like they need you to do stuff around the house? Is that what they mean? Or maybe farm work, I guess that would make sense. Like your main farmer went off to war and now who's going to plow the field? So maybe that's what they mean. Or schooling. See, unless the person who left was the teacher, I guess that's possible. But if the teacher went to war, then they consolidate the schools, Then they make bigger classes with fewer teachers. But interesting. Or fun. I don't know what that means. Do they play games with them or something? Or instruction in housekeeping. So they teach them how to keep their house and do their laundry and stuff? That's weird. And cooking, okay, I get that. Doctoring of mind or body or soul. I don't know, it's just very interesting to me that they, talk about all of these different things that they do. That's basically a social worker. All right, moving on. The challenge of humanity. A Red Cross member today is a real indication of a man's sincerity in Christian faith and practice, affirms Bishop Reese, Bishop of Kansas in the Episcopal Church in a pastoral to the churches of his diocese. Peace has been declared, but that simply ought to be a stimulus to America for greater effort to come to the help of the nations of the world through the Red Cross. Long after the last gun has been fired in the greatest and most devastating war in the world's history, the cry of the needy and the destitute will ring out for help. If it was and is the glorious thing for this country of ours to respond as she has done to the challenge of humanity by sending millions of our sons into the trenches, ready to give life itself freely to redeem the world from a brutal and savage foe, surely it is a more glorious thing, and an even greater opportunity for service, to have a share in the work of reconstruction and upbuilding that must be done. Well, you got there. The first half of the task of the American Red Cross has been accomplished with such stupendous success that words fail in the attempt to even outline the story of its splendid achievement. We have faith enough and to spare in the American people to believe that they will unite as one in supporting the Red Cross until the mighty task it has set for our accomplishment is completed. Well, I really like that, because they're basically saying, like, we know that a lot's been going on during the war, but we still have almost even more exciting work to do in rebuilding entire continent of Europe. That's wow, that's crazy. Caring for children. More than 100,000 French children have been reached by American Red Cross aid through its hospitals and assistance given to French societies under the slogan, Visit Every Baby in France. The Red Cross campaign for 1918 has had three main objects: to increase nursing service in the direction of child welfare work, to increase welfare stations throughout France, one or two to every province, and to assist all hospitals, clinics, and organizations engaged in welfare work. It is estimated that 80,000 French babies died last year, 40,000 of whom might have been saved. One of the vital objects of the Red Cross is to save those 40,000 babies during the current year. Excellent goal. In Belgium, at the request of Queen Elizabeth, a children's hospital was established at the front of a house-to-house visiting service by American and Belgian nurses provided. As a result, 15,000 Belgian children are healthier and happier. In one Red Cross home alone, 400 homeless Belgian babies are cared for. Wow. Jeez. That is a lot. Like, they're doing crazy amounts of work post-war. By the end of this year, the Red Cross will have appropriated for use among the Belgians the sum of $3,379,699. 82 canteens, which provide refreshments for 25,000 soldiers, are in operation. 9 hospitals have been maintained. About 15,000 Belgian children are happier and healthier as a result of day nurseries established by the Red Cross. 90,000 Belgian people remained in a small area not under German control, and 600,000 refugees scattered throughout Europe have been aided in many ways. There, in the center of the page, there is a little blurb about the Red Cross membership, and I thought I'd read that as well. Red Cross membership for all. The Red Cross is the world's international ideal of mercy. It knows no bounds of racial, religious, or political separation. Wherever and whenever war, pestilence, flood, or disaster has wrought suffering, want, or distress, there it has gone and brought relief and the ready hands of unselfish aid. Great Britain first organized relief work when, during the Crimean War, the War Office sent Florence Nightingale with 38 other nurses to the hospitals at Scutari, which were pest houses rather than hospitals. So successful was Miss Nightingale that she is today recognized as one of the greatest individual organizers of war relief. In 1864, at a conference of 14 nations held in Geneva, Switzerland, the International Red Cross was founded. The idea of putting such service on an international basis originating with Henri Dumont, a Swiss physician. The emblem of this service, common to all nations, the Red Cross on a field of white, is the Swiss flag with the colors reversed, and was adopted in recognition of the fact that Dr. Dumont was Swiss, and that the organization had its birth at Geneva. Yeah. I love that they mention this. I actually have mentioned this before in another video, because they constantly harp on American Red Cross, American Red Cross, American Red Cross. Well, you're talking about the American branch of the Red Cross. The Red Cross is large and it's international. And there's a branch of it in every country. There's the German Red Cross and the Swiss Red Cross and the French Red Cross and the English Red Cross, the British Red Cross, I guess it is. And the Danish Red Cross, and it's everywhere. So it's interesting to me that people consider it American, where you just read it's Swiss. You know, the suffering and devastation caused by the war has been monstrous, and it will require years to rehabilitate some of the countries. The work of civilian relief does not end with the war, but rather increases. The American Red Cross will be the logical means of prosecuting this relief work in a large way. The spirit which actuated Florence Nightingale in England and Henry Dunant in Switzerland has been reborn in millions of Americans and is expressing itself in patriotic services and generous support of the Red Cross. Men, women, and children have contributed to a relief fund of unprecedented size. Millions of women have given their time and energy to the making of relief supplies in homes and chapter houses throughout the world. Thousands of men and women have given their personal services, both in this country and abroad. School children have enrolled, and the nation as a whole has responded to the call by increasing the membership within the space of 12 months from 300,000 to approximately 22 million. Jeez, that's crazy. The time has come for even larger things. The Christmas roll call for membership in the coming year begins all over this broad land, December 15th. It comes at a time when approaching celebration of the birth of the Savior of mankind touches all hearts with the passion which he exemplified during his short life on earth. And the Red Cross National Committee has placed population as the only limit to Red Cross membership, for who can turn a deaf ear to this greatest of all appeals for money and sympathetic support? That's crazy. I had no idea that they grew that fast. They went from 300,000 members to 22 million. 22 million people. Like, that's, wow. Wow. Just because of World War One, and lots of people were suddenly like, Red Cross does some great things, and they gave them money. That's wonderful. I'm really impressed with that, and I'll bet that money was put to good use rebuilding the countries in Europe. Now, I will mention just one thing, and that is that because of the conditions of surrender at the end of the war, Germany was given no help from the Allies. And you notice Germany and Austria were not even on the list of countries that were helped, and they listed quite a few. Germany and Austria were not on the list at all. And because they were not helped, and even though they were just as devastated, if not more so, than all the other countries, that was the reason why the people were so unhappy and what led eventually to World War II. If Germany had been as supported as France and Belgium was, which I totally get. I understand why. Okay, so I'm not saying that, the people then should have thought of this. I don't know that I would have been like, come on, we don't like them. They're the ones who started the war, But at the same time, they're people too. They're human beings, and they need to eke out some kind of existence, besides the fact that they have children as well. Like, they're talking about Belgian babies all over the place, but they don't talk about German babies. As they don't care about the babies as if they're on the wrong side of the political spectrum. But those babies are going to grow up with nothing and become adults with hyperinflation in a country that is still trying to recover from World War I, and that's why they voted for Hitler. See what I mean? Because they themselves never in their entire lifetime ever saw anybody try to help them. So I could see why they would get some resentment there, and that's exactly what led to the rise of Hitler. I'm just saying that there's something missing in this article, was how are we going to rebuild the country that started all of this? And they didn't after World War I, and that is what led to World War II. So, just throwing that out there. Thought you might want to hear that, but yeah, World War I, crazy time. It led to a lot of worse times before it got better. So, but I feel like the people at the time were doing the best they could with what they had, and they were trying really hard to help people who were suffering. I mean, as you can see, all of the work that they did, but they just forgot someone. They just forgot someone. And I hope that we have learned from that. And that is the reason why we learned so much about World War II, is because we kind of brought that upon ourselves. If Germany and Austria were more supported as countries and didn't end up in such a horrible economic situation that they were in, then World War II would not have happened. At least not the way it did. Maybe we still would have been at war with the Japanese. I'm not as familiar with the reasons why they wanted to go to war, but I know that the Germans would not have gone to war if they had been more supported, because the only reason Hitler and his party rose to power was because the people had nothing. They had nothing, and they just wanted someone to blame, and they wanted some change. They wanted change. They wanted support, and they were just desperate. And it's unfortunate that it turned out the way it did. However, I really feel like most of the Allied countries brought it upon themselves. So that is my opinion. Feel free to disagree with me. Write your thoughts in the comments below, and I hope to see you in the next video.